Welcome to the Power of Oxygen First, where we scale your life first so your business can actually breathe. I'm your host, Dot Rock. Oxygen First means you protect your energy first. You build your life first. You take care of your nervous system first. Then you scale. Because success without oxygen, that's just burnout with better branding. Around here, we talk about real leadership, how to hire your peanut butter instead of just doing it all yourself, how to fire with grace when something's expired, no more breadcrumbs, how to grow or go, and how to receive support without apologizing for it. This isn't hustle culture. It's sustainable success. It's leadership with oxygen. So let's pause and take a deep breath. Let's build something that actually feels like home. Well, hello, my podcast friends, and welcome back to the Power of Oxygen First. So today's episode is one of my favorite topics. As you know, I love to fly, and it is just an episode I've been thinking about creating for a while because airplanes actually taught me so much about leadership and parenthood. And I just have thought about this one a lot since I recorded the JFK Jr. episode. I'm not sure which episode that was, but it was a little bit ago. And it was about how ego impacts decision making in the airplane and how it can really actually be avoided and that pilots are trained for this. And the type of situation JFK Jr. got himself into could have been avoided for a number of reasons with the ego. So this episode is similar to that, and it's about the topic of aviation, but it's not actually really about airplanes. It's not completely about flying. It's actually about what happens when our fear hijacks our leadership, just like this happens in the airplane. So it's also, this one's going to just be a little bit about what happens in our businesses when we start spinning, when our nervous system takes over, and how every instinct inside of us starts screaming that we need to work more, grip tighter, trust less, maybe stop delegating. That's never a good idea, my friends. And pull it all in back to yourself. Don't pause, don't breathe, don't ask for help, just get control. And that's all fake. And what I learned when I was doing my pilot training ever so long ago, sometimes when you are in danger, your instincts tell you to do the exact wrong thing. That is definitely true in an airplane. And I've actually found that really true in my life and in my business. So I'm going to share the flight lesson I have never forgotten and hope that you can think about this in a fun way and apply it to your business. Like I try to apply it to my business and my life all the time. So here's the story. When I was doing my pilot training, my instructor said we needed to meet at night. We met at night and I went out. This is when I was living in Arizona. So before Dominic was born. And he put me under an eye cover. So he covered up my eyes and then he put something under me so that I couldn't see down. Right. Like, so it was like a blindfold on top of something like right here under my eyes. And if you're watching the video podcast, you can see me putting my hand like right under my eyes. So what he wanted me to do was react after he took the eye cover off, after he had already done something to the airplane. And I'm telling you, this was not a gentle little maneuver, right? So the instructor put the eye cover on me, and then he intentionally took the airplane into a climbing stall spin type demonstration. So what that means is the nose came up, right? You're flying, the nose came up, and the airplane slows and the wing will exceed its critical angle of attack. And then came that stomach turning dropping moment where the airplane breaks forward and it's technically called a stall spin because if we want to get technical, a stall happens when the wing exceeds the critical angle of attack and air flows over the wing and it loses its smooth airflow and it causes the plane to essentially stop flying and drop. Like it's almost like paralysis in the airplane. And so the spin is an aggravated stall with yaw and rotation. Not that you need all the technicalities of that, but it feels really strange. I think it's exciting. Most people would puke. But in the cockpit, when you're under that hood that he put under my eyes and your body feels disoriented, what he wanted me to do was look at the instruments and fix the airplane and not pay attention to how it felt in my body, right? It was not about feeling it and responding because actually our inner ear will lie to us, right? So what he did is he was just trying to teach me this lesson. So he was either going to do it in a stall spin or in a descending stall, right? And he just wanted me to grab the airplane, read the instruments, and fix it, which was the whole point of the lesson. So he wants to take away your outside visual reference. So you can't look out the window, you can't orient yourself by the horizon, and you just have to fly by these instruments. And it, like I said, it feels really strange in your body because your ear is like, this is what's happening. I'll do this. And it's actually the opposite. Our inner ear gets really confused when they cannot see. It's a strange phenomenon that happens in our bodies. Our senses give us information that feels real, and our body is my body at the time was telling me one thing, but when I looked at the instruments, they actually told me another thing. But then what was even crazier is that my body wanted to tell me that I was reading the instruments wrong. And so the whole lesson is that you do not trust what your body is telling you right now. You trust the instruments. And that's a terrifying lesson because when you're in the air and your body is screaming, this is wrong, it takes an enormous amount of discipline to look at the panel of instruments, really look at them and say, what is actually true? Not what do I feel? Not what am I afraid of? Not what is my panic telling me? It's what are the instruments telling me? And I've thought about that lesson so many times as a leader, as a consultant, as a mom, as a business owner, and as someone who works one on one with so many leaders when their businesses are starting to spin. Because all businesses do this too. The nervous system gets loud, our fear gets loud. Your body says, take it all back, do it yourself. Work later, sleep less, stop trusting people. How about don't delegate? I hear that one a lot. I hear cancel the support. They say, let's just wait on having the hard conversation. I don't have time right now. I'm doing a big client project. They say, don't pause, don't breathe, don't look too closely, don't look at those numbers, don't look at the financial statements, and just survive. And sometimes, most times, those moves, those choices are the exact thing that makes the entire spin, the entire stall worse. So, the point I'm trying to make is that there's a leadership lesson in what the stall teaches us. In aviation, the stall is not simply that the airplane is going too slow. It's not just we're going too slow, but that's what a lot of people think. The stall is really about the angle of attack. It is about the relationship between the wing and the airflow over the wing. And when the wing exceeds its critical angle of attack, that smooth airflow is disrupted airflow, and the wing can't produce the lift to keep something up. I was just looking around my room here because I usually have an airplane sitting by me and I could show you all of this, but instead I'm showing you with my hands. But it makes it unstable. And one of the most important things pilots learn is that a stall can happen at different speeds, at different attitudes, and with different power settings. And it can even happen when the airplane is climbing. just like when a business is climbing. That's why this metaphor is so cool. Because in business, we often think, I cannot be in trouble. I'm busy. I cannot be stalling. I'm working constantly. I cannot be losing lift. I'm pushing harder than ever and making more money than ever. But sometimes the business is not stalling because you're doing too little. Sometimes the business is stalling because the whole structure is at the wrong angle, right? You've applied too much pressure. There's too much dependence on one person or on oneself. Sometimes this is just like that general manager in a business has too much dependence or too much responsibility. And if something were to happen to him, the whole structure would collapse. It can be too much unclear ownership in a business where we don't have enough things defined on who's doing what. There can be too much rescuing. There could be too much over functioning. Hey, I'm quite busy at this all the time. That's why I work so hard to lean into support. And too much fear can be disguised as leadership, right? And when all of that happens, our efforts in a business actually stop creating lift. You can be doing more and getting less. It's like working out. You can be working out more and having less results because you're not resting enough, right? And you can be working harder and not solving anything in your business at the same time. Then you can be adding power to a system that doesn't actually need more power, just like in the airplane. It just needs correction. And that is the business tailspin when your instincts actually lie to you. So, in a stall or spin recovery, you cannot pull your way out of it. Your body pulls back. Your body wants to get away from the ground. Your body wants to fix it by gripping tighter. But pulling back can increase the angle of attack and make the stall worse, like pulling back on the airplane. When we pull back, the plane goes up, right? But it can make this angle worse and you can't fly an airplane. You have to get the nose of the airplane down. You have to like push it back down. You have to stop that rotation, that bad rotation over the wing. You have to trust your instruments, even when your inner ear and your body are just telling you a completely different story. That move that saves you can feel completely unnatural in the airplane. And that's it. That is leadership. That is oxygen first. Because when your business starts spinning, your first instinct is often to pull back harder on the controls. You start working more, you stop delegating because if it's faster, if I just do it, you can stop trusting people, you can start micromanaging, and you become the bottleneck and you stop asking for support. Trust me, this happens to me a lot. I tell myself, I just need to get through this week. And then next week comes and you're still spinning. Honestly, I do this in my home oftentimes too. Today, I actually had someone come clean my car and detail it while I was sitting here working. I'm telling you, it feels like I went to the spa today. Now, I haven't even showered, as you can tell, as I sit here in my baseball hat, but I'm not spinning anymore about how gross my car is because we're headed on several more road trips to Vail for Dominic's next surgeries. And I wanted to feel like a spa in there. So I read the instruments and it said clean the car, even though I didn't want to ask for that support. Because problem is never in our business is that we don't care enough. The problem is often that panic takes over and we override the controls. And so what I'm asking you to hear is panic is not leadership. Urgency is not leadership. Overfunctioning is not leadership. Exhaustion is not proof that you're doing it right. And sometimes overfunctioning is the business's version of pulling back in a stall. It feels like control, but it's actually costing you lift, right? So, one more thing, let's talk about that inner ear for a minute. When you're flying without a visual reference, your inner ear can lie to you. The body was designed to orient itself to the ground. It is not designed perfectly to interpret every movement in flight. In certain conditions, especially when you cannot see the horizon, can't see anything out there, your body can feel like it is level when it's actually turning. It's really cool. I'm telling you, I love this part of flying. Or it can feel like it is turning when you're actually going straight. Your senses can send you information that feels completely true and is completely wrong. And that's what's called spatial disorientation. That's what happened to JFK Jr., on top of him not reading the instruments, on top of him flying in weather wasn't trained and didn't have the licensure um, to fly in certification. We call it ratings in the pilot world, but essentially he didn't have the adequate training. That's the whole point of getting the training is so that you stop overriding those things. And when the plane is breaking forward, rotating, or dropping into a disorienting recovery moment, your body does not calmly say, please check your instruments. Instead, your body screams, do something now, right? So when this was happening to me, my instructor was teaching me there will be moments when your body feels certain and your body will be wrong. You will have to trust your instruments. Business has spatial disorientation too. You can feel behind when you're actually overcommitted. You can feel unsupported when you never clearly ask for support or actually truly delegated it. You can feel betrayed when the real issue is actually unclear expectations and unspoken boundaries. You can feel like someone needs to be fired when you actually need first. What you actually need before you fire them is a grow or go conversation. And you can feel like you need to hire when you actually need to just clarify somebody else's role. You can feel like you need to burn it all down when you actually need a little bit of oxygen in your business. And that's why leaders need instruments, not just instincts, not just vibes, not just panic, not just I feel like everything is on fire. We need instruments. So, what are those instruments in business? In an airplane, the instruments tell you exactly what's happening, right? That's altitude, airspeed, attitude, heading, vertical speed, turn coordination. You don't have to know what all those are, but our business instruments are a little bit different. You'll know these. Your instruments are your calendar and how full it is, your cash flow, your client commitments, your team capacity, your documented expectations, your SOPs. How about your financial statements? My favorite CPA thing. How about your monthly financial statements, your tax returns, your outstanding accounts receivable, your role clarity, open loops, reoccurring problems, but also your body, your energy, your resentment. How about your decision fatigue? And how about, most importantly, your support systems? Those, those are instruments. And most leaders do not look at them until they are already spinning. They wait until the business is gasping for oxygen. They wait until they're exhausted. They wait until the team is frustrated. They wait until the client is upset. And they wait until the employee has dropped the ball 17 times. They wait until their body is screaming. And then they say, I don't know how we got here. Hmm. But the instruments have been talking for a long time. The calendar was over full. The cash was talking. It was low. It was too high. There were so many missed deadlines. Resentment was talking. Turnover was talking. Sunday night dread was talking. And the fact that you can't take a real day off was talking. And the fact that every decision still runs through you was talking. The business was already telling you that oxygen was leaking. You just could not hear it over the sound of survival. So, what are the 5 signs you are in a business tailspin? First, number one, you are working more but solving less problems. You were busy all day, but nothing actually got lighter. You are answering messages, fixing mistakes, moving things around, having the same conversations, and still ending the day with the same weight on your chest and not any more money in your pocket. Second, another sign I see often is that you've stopped delegating. You tell yourself it is faster if I do it. And maybe the moment right now, it totally is. But every time you take a task back, every time you keep doing it, you train the business to depend on yourself more. It's not going to be easier to delegate it later. I promise. The next thing I see, the third thing is you trust less and you inspect more. You move from leadership in a business and into surveillance. I have a client who does this a lot. It's quite frustrating. Delegates tasks to my team and then continuously gets in the middle of the processes, like checks everything, questions everything, changes everyone's ability to be efficient, and assumes people will just drop the ball instead of building ownership and letting there be a human safety net. Okay, the fourth thing I often see is you isolate. That's a really big one I see a lot because when leaders are in a tailspin, they often stop asking for help. They stop telling the truth. They think, I should already know how to handle this. And they retreat into themselves and carry things alone that were never meant to be carried alone. And fifth, and the final one is that everything feels urgent, just like the airplane, just like fixing that. When everything is urgent, nothing is strategic. When everything is an emergency, you lose altitude. This is usually where I meet leaders. They are smart, they are capable, they are high performing, and they are not lazy, they are not weak, they are not careless, they are spinning. And the very instincts that helped them build the business are now making it hard to recover. So, how do you pull out of a tailspin like this? What do you do? How do you recover? I want to give you an oxygen first recovery process. Not because business is exactly like flying an airplane, but because the metaphor gives us a way to remember what matters when fear takes over. Step number one, stop adding any power to the panic. Okay? In the plane, more power is not the right answer. In business, more effort is not always the right answer. Sometimes the first move is to stop feeding the spin. Stop saying yes to everything. Stop rescuing every dropped ball. Stop adding another meeting to talk about the meeting. Stop creating more complexity because you're afraid to make a decision. Stop throwing your body into the gap between what business needs and what the structure cannot hold. Seriously, go for a walk. This does not mean you give up. It means you stop mistaking force for leadership. Step number two, reduce the angle of attack. In business, reducing the angle of attack means lowering the pressure long enough to restore airflow. It means asking, what am I trying to force right now? What am I making harder that needs to not be so dang hard? Where am I pushing where I need to pause? Where am I over functioning? Where am I carrying something that actually belongs to someone else? And where am I confusing my fear with a fact? That's where oxygen first begins. Not with a giant strategy, no, not dramatic overhaul, just with breath, with enough space to tell the truth. Because you cannot recover a business you refuse to look at honestly. Step number three, you have to trust your instruments. This is the moment from my flight training. This is the lesson. The eye cover is on, my body is confused, my inner ear is lying, and the instructor says, in essence, trust the instruments. That is what leaders have to do too. Look at the calendar, look at the financial statement numbers, look at the roles, look at the documented expectations, look at the capacity, for goodness sake. Look at the team pattern, look at your client boundaries, look at your own energy, and look at what keeps repeating itself. Not what you wish were true, not what you're afraid of is true. What is actually true? Because your nervous system may be saying everything is falling apart, but the instruments may say, no, you have three specific leaks. Or your nervous system could be saying, That person is the problem. But the instruments might say, actually, there's no clear role, no clear ownership, no clear definition of success. You're the problem, not them. Or your nervous system could be saying, I need to hire immediately. But their instruments may say, you need to stop using support as a dumping ground and start building a real delegation structure. That is why I created the Oxygen First work, because leaders do not need more motivation. They need to find the leak. So, step 4 is to correct the spin. Once you know exactly what is happening, then you can correct. This is where real leadership work begins. Maybe it's a grow or go conversation with me. Maybe someone needs clear expectation or a real chance to step up into ownership. And maybe it's you fire them with grace. Maybe the most loving and responsible thing is at the end of the day to end the working relationship clearly, respectfully, and legally. Maybe it's to use my signature PB&J method, peanut butter to your jelly method, and help you hire someone who complements you instead of duplicating you. Or maybe you need a chief energy officer type of support system. Maybe you need to stop pretending you can be the visionary operator, admin, HR department, CFO, project manager, emotional support animal, and emergency contact for the whole business. And maybe the correction is not that dramatic. Maybe it's just one clear role, one hard conversation, one boundary, one documented process, one decision, one person you finally allow to help you. And that's how you correct the spin. Because step 5 is where we recover gently. That's what matters. In an airplane, recovery is not a violent yank back to normal. You recover the airplane with control. You restore lift, you regain altitude, and in business, it's exactly the same. You do not need to fix everything by Friday. You just need to stop the spin. You need to recover one aligned move at a time, one oxygen leak sealed, one conversation completed, one expectation clarified, one support system installed, one decision made, and one really big nervous system exhale. That's how businesses start to breathe again. So, the real lesson is when I think back to the flight lesson, I don't remember the mechanics. I remember the feeling. I remember how humbling it was to realize that your body can be sure, like so sure. Like, I know what I know, what I know, and be totally wrong. And I think that is one of the hardest lessons in leadership because high performing leaders are used to trusting themselves. They are used to being the one who figures it out, and they are used to being capable, and they are used to being the rescue plan. But there comes a point where your instincts have to evolve. Those same instincts helped you survive may not be the same instincts that help you lead. The instincts that helped you build may not be the same instincts that help you scale. And the instincts that helped you carry everything may not be the same instincts that help your business breathe. Some leaders, some leadership is all about not trusting the panic, not obeying the urgency, not pulling back harder. And sometimes it's just saying, I need to breathe. I need to look at the instruments. I need to take a vacation. I need to tell the truth about what is happening here. I need to stop feeling spent. Again, that's oxygen first. So here's your oxygen first prompt for today. Where in your business are you trusting panic over instruments? Where are you working more but solving less? Where are you gripping tighter when the real move may be to pause, look, and correct? And where are you calling something urgent because you're afraid to call it unsustainable? And where is your body telling you, do more, when your business is actually asking you to breathe, delegate, clarify, and decide? So take a moment with that because the tailspin is not always the problem. Sometimes the panic response is. So if your business feels like a tailspin, I want you to know this. You are not broken. You're not failing. You're not weak. You may simply be in a pattern where fear has taken over the controls. And the way out is not always more force, right? That's what we just talked about. It's more oxygen, it's more truth, it's getting quiet, it's more clarity and more support. And it's learning to trust those instruments again. That's the work I do with leaders inside of Oxygen First Club. when we do grow or go VIP days, and want to help them fire with grace. We look at what's actually happening. We find those oxygen leaks. We decide whether something needs to grow, needs to go, should be clarified, could be supported, or should just be released. Because your business should not require you to lose yourself in order to keep flying it. You're allowed to recover, you're allowed to breathe, and you are allowed to lead without panic in the cockpit. Until next time, I'll see you on the power of oxygen first. I hope you take a deep breath. This conversation reminded you that you don't have to do it all alone. That's your cue. Go download the free Support and Breathe Return on Investment Calculator at rockconsulting.com. It's a quick, slightly eye-opening way to see how much time, money, and energy you could reclaim with the right support. And remember, support does not always mean hiring. Sometimes it's a simple ask. Sometimes it's a boundary. And sometimes it's finally letting someone be your peanut butter. If something in this episode resonated, please come tell me. I'm on Instagram at @_rock_, and I genuinely love hearing what lands for you so I can create more of them. And remember, your energy is your greatest asset. Protect it, invest in it, and always put on your oxygen mask first. I'll see you next week.